In the vast expanse of the Milky Way galaxy, two mighty alien civilizations had been locked in a brutal conflict for over 800,000 years. The Zarkans, a race of towering, silicon-based beings, fought against the Myrexi, a collective of energy creatures. Their war raged across thousands of star systems, leaving destruction in its wake. Earth and its human inhabitants sat on the edge of this cosmic battlefield, largely ignored by the warring aliens. Humanity had only recently ventured into space, their technology primitive compared to the advanced weaponry of the Zarkans and Myrexi. On a crisp autumn morning in New Geneva, Dr. Amelia Chen stood before the United Earth Council. Her dark eyes scanned the room, taking in the worried faces of world leaders. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice steady despite her nerves, "the alien war has reached our doorstep." Hushed whispers filled the chamber. Admiral Jackson, a gruff man with steel-gray hair, leaned forward. "What do you mean, Doctor?" Dr. Chen tapped her tablet, and a holographic map of the solar system appeared above the council table. Red and blue dots swarmed at the edges, slowly creeping closer to Earth. "These are Zarkan and Myrexi scout ships," she explained. "They've entered our solar system for the first time in recorded history." President Okafor of the African Union raised a hand. "Are they here to attack us?" Dr. Chen shook her head. "We don't think so. It seems they're searching for resources. But if their war spills onto our planets..." She didn't need to finish the sentence. Everyone understood the implications. Admiral Jackson stood up, his chair scraping against the floor. "Then we fight. We've been preparing for alien contact for decades." Dr. Chen sighed. "Admiral, our most advanced ships would be like paper airplanes against their fleets. We need another solution." As the council erupted into arguments, a quiet voice spoke up. All heads turned to Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a small Japanese man with kind eyes and a brilliant mind. "What if," he said softly, "we could end their war?" Laughter rippled through the room, but Dr. Chen held up a hand for silence. "Go on, Yuki." Dr. Tanaka stood, smoothing his lab coat. "We've been working on a project. A ship so small, it could slip past their defenses unnoticed." He pulled out a device no larger than a coin. "This is the heart of humanity. A microship with an AI core and a crew of nanobots. It can travel faster than light and carry a message of peace." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Admiral Jackson scoffed. "You want to end an 800,000-year war with a toy ship." Dr. Chen stepped forward, her eyes shining with hope. "Sometimes, Admiral, the smallest things can make the biggest difference." For hours, the council debated. The risks were enormous. If the aliens discovered Earth's interference, it could mean the end of humanity. But the potential reward, galactic peace, was too great to ignore. As the sun set over New Geneva, President Okafor called for a vote. One by one, world leaders raised their hands in agreement. Project Peacemaker was born. In the weeks that followed, Dr. Chen and Dr. Tanaka worked tirelessly. They programmed the heart of humanity with all of Earth's knowledge, history, and culture. They gave it the power to translate alien languages and the wisdom to negotiate peace. On launch day, the tiny ship sat on a platform in the middle of the Sahara Desert. World leaders, scientists, and millions of viewers around the globe watched with bated breath. Dr. Chen knelt next to the heart of humanity, her voice barely a whisper. "You carry the hopes of our entire species. Go forth, little one. Bring us peace." With a flash of light, the microship vanished into the cosmos. Humanity had taken its first step onto the galactic stage. As cheers erupted around her, Dr. Chen gazed at the stars. The fate of 3 civilizations now rested on a ship smaller than a fingernail. The greatest adventure in human history had begun. As the heart of humanity disappeared into the vastness of space, Earth held its collective breath. Dr. Chen and her team gathered in the control room, their eyes glued to the screens tracking the microship's journey. Days passed. then weeks. The tiny vessel pushed further into the galaxy than any human creation had ever ventured before. 1 month after launch, alarms blared in the control room. Dr. Chen rushed to her station, heart pounding. What's happening? Dr. Tanaka's fingers flew over the keyboard. The heart has entered Zarkan territory. It's detecting massive energy signatures. On the main screen, a sea of red dots appeared. Each one represented a Zarkan warship, a fleet so vast it defied comprehension. Admiral Jackson, who had been watching from the corner, stepped forward. Can they detect our ship? Dr. Chen shook her head, a small smile on her face. No, Admiral. The heart is too small, too fast. It's slipping right between their sensors. As they watched, the microship darted between the alien vessels, its advanced AI making split-second decisions to avoid detection. It was like watching a minnow swim through a school of whales. Suddenly, the ship's feed crackled to life. Strange, crystalline structures filled the screen. A Zarkan space station. It's beautiful, Dr. Tanaka whispered. Dr. Chen nodded, but her expression was grim and deadly. Those crystals aren't just for show. They're weapons capable of destroying entire planets. The heart of humanity slipped into the station through a microscopic crack in its outer shell. As it navigated the alien corridors, it gathered data at an incredible rate. Information about Zarkan biology, technology, and culture flooded the Earth's computers. This is amazing, Dr. Chen breathed. We're learning more about the Zarkans in minutes than we have in decades of observation. But their excitement was short-lived. An alert popped up on Dr. Tanaka's screen. The ship's detected a problem. The Zarkans, they're dying. The team huddled around his monitor. Data streamed across the screen, painting a grim picture. The millennia of war had taken their toll. The Zarkan population was aging, their birth rates plummeting. They're fighting this war with the last of their strength, Admiral Jackson said softly, his usual bravado gone. Dr. Chen's mind raced. This changes everything. They're not just fighting for territory or resources. They're fighting for survival. As the heart of humanity continued its exploration, it made another startling discovery. In the heart of the station, it found a massive chamber filled with stasis pods. Inside each pod was a Zarkan child, preserved in crystal. Dr. Tanaka's eyes widened. They're protecting their future. Their children. The implications were clear. The Zarkans weren't warmongering monsters. They were desperate parents, fighting to secure a future for their offspring. With its mission in Zarkan territory complete, the heart of humanity set course for Myrexi space. As it traveled, Dr. Chen and her team worked tirelessly, analyzing the data and formulating a plan. We need to understand both sides, Dr. Chen told the United Earth Council in an emergency meeting. Only then can we hope to broker peace. Weeks later, the microship entered Myrexi territory. The energy being's domain was a stark contrast to the crystalline structures of the Zarkans. Here, swirling vortexes of light and color filled the void of space. The heart of humanity dove into one of these vortexes, its advanced shielding protecting it from the intense energy. Inside, it discovered the truth of the Myrexi. They weren't individual beings, but a collective consciousness. Each swirling light was a thought, a memory, a fragment of their shared mind. And that mind was fracturing. The war is tearing them apart, Dr. Tanaka realized. Each death in battle splinters their collective further. As the ship completed its survey, a clear picture emerged. Two ancient civilizations, both on the brink of extinction, locked in a war neither could afford to lose, or to continue fighting. Back on Earth, Dr. Chen stood before the council once more. Her eyes were tired, but filled with determination. "We've seen the heart of the conflict," she said. "Now we have a chance to heal it. The heart of humanity carries not just our technology, but our compassion, our ability to empathize." She took a deep breath. "It's time for the next phase. We're going to talk to them." As the council murmured in agreement, Dr. Chen gazed out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, a tiny ship carried the hopes of 3 civilizations. The real challenge was just beginning. The control room buzzed with nervous energy. Dr. Chen paced back and forth, her eyes darting between the various screens displaying the heart of humanity's status. Today was the day they would attempt first contact with both the Zarkans and the Myrexi. "Are we sure about this?" Admiral Jackson asked, his voice gruff but tinged with concern. Dr. Chen nodded firmly. "We have to try. If we don't, this war could spill over to Earth." Dr. Tanaka's fingers flew over his keyboard, making final adjustments to the communication protocols. "The heart is ready. We can broadcast to both species simultaneously." A hush fell over the room as Dr. Chen stepped up to the microphone. She took a deep breath, acutely aware that her words could change the fate of 3 civilizations. "This is Dr. Amelia Chen of Earth," she began, her voice steady. "We come in peace, seeking to end the conflict that has plagued your peoples for 800,000 years." The message, translated into both Zarkan crystalline frequencies and Myrexi energy pulses, shot across the galaxy at faster-than-light speeds. For several tense minutes, there was no response. Then suddenly, the screens lit up with activity. "We're receiving transmissions from both species," Dr. Tanaka exclaimed. The first message came from the Zarkans. A towering crystalline being appeared on the screen, its faceted surface glinting with internal light. "I am High Commander Zix of the Zarkan Empire," it said, its voice a symphony of chiming tones. "How dare you interfere in our holy war, tiny creatures?" Before Dr. Chen could respond, another transmission cut in. This one from the Myrexi, a swirling vortex of energy that pulsed as it spoke. "We are the Myrexi Collective," it said, its voice a chorus of whispers. "Your intervention is unwelcome. This conflict is beyond your understanding." Dr. Chen steeled herself. This was the moment of truth. "We understand more than you know," she said. "We've seen the dying children of the Zarkans, preserved in stasis. We've witnessed the fracturing of the Myrexi collective consciousness." Both alien leaders fell silent, shocked by the depth of human knowledge. "How is this possible?" High Commander Zix demanded. Dr. Chen gestured to a hologram of the heart of humanity. "This is how. Our ship, smaller than a grain of sand on your worlds, has observed both your civilizations. We know you're both fighting for survival." The Myrexi transmission pulsed erratically. "If you truly understand, then you know why this war must continue. The Zarkans would destroy us all." "Lies," Zix bellowed. "It is the Myrexi who seek to consume all energy in the galaxy, leaving nothing for others." As the aliens argued, Dr. Chen noticed something odd. The translation of their words didn't match their tones. She muted the audio and turned to Dr. Tanaka. "Yuki, are you seeing this? Their words are hostile, but their body language, it's almost sad." Dr. Tanaka nodded, his eyes wide. "You're right. It's like they're reading from a script they don't believe in anymore." An idea struck Dr. Chen. She unmuted the audio and spoke again, her voice gentle but firm. "High Commander Zix, Myrexi Collective, may I ask you a question? When was the last time either of you spoke directly to each other, without weapons between you?" The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, the Myrexi spoke, its voice softer now. "It has been many generations." Zix's crystalline form dimmed slightly. "We have no memory of such a time in our databanks." Dr. Chen leaned forward, her heart racing. "Then perhaps it's time. Here now, with Earth as a neutral party. Speak to each other not as enemies, but as fellow beings facing extinction." For a moment, it seemed as if neither alien would take the first step. Then, to everyone's surprise, High Commander Zix spoke. "Myrexi, is it true that your collective is fracturing? We had thought your kind immortal." The Myrexi pulsed slowly, almost hesitantly. "It is true. Each death in battle weakens us. And you, Zarkans, we believe your empire endless, Your number's infinite. We are dying, Six admitted, its voice heavy with sorrow. Our children sleep, waiting for a future we fear may never come. As the two ancient enemies began to truly communicate for the first time in millennia, Dr. Chen stepped back from the microphone. She caught Admiral Jackson's eye and saw a glimmer of hope there. "It's a start," she whispered. Dr. Tanaka nodded, a small smile on his face. A small step for a small ship, but a giant leap for 3 civilizations, Dr. Chen finished. As the dialogue between the Zarkans and Myrexi continued, the team from Earth watched in awe. The heart of humanity, their tiniest creation, had opened the door to the biggest peace talks in galactic history. The real work was just beginning, but for the first time in 800,000 years, there was hope for peace among the stars. 3 months had passed since the first contact. The initial shock had worn off, replaced by a cautious optimism. Now, as Dr. Chen stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed space station Unity, she could hardly believe how far they'd come. The station hung in space at a neutral point between Zarkan and Myrexi territories, with Earth acting as the mediator. It was a marvel of cooperative engineering, combining the crystalline architecture of the Zarkans, the swirling energy fields of the Myrexi, and the practical efficiency of human design. Dr. Tanaka joined her at the window, his eyes wide with wonder. "It's amazing, isn't it? 3 months ago, we were afraid to leave our solar system. Now we're hosting a galactic peace conference." Dr. Chen nodded, a small smile on her face. The heart of humanity opened the door. Now it's up to us to walk through it. Their conversation was interrupted by a soft chime. Admiral Jackson's voice came over the intercom. "Dr. Chen, Dr. Tanaka, they're ready for you in the Grand Chamber." As they made their way through the station, they passed delegates from all 3 species. Zarkan crystals chimed softly as they moved, while Myrexi energy beings floated by in containment fields. Humans from every nation on Earth hurried about, still in awe of their alien counterparts. The Grand Chamber was a sight to behold, a massive circular room with 3 distinct sections, each designed to accommodate the unique needs of its occupants. In the center stood a holographic projection of the heart of humanity, a constant reminder of what had brought them together. High Commander Zix's crystalline form glittered as it took its place. The Myrexi collective swirled into its energy-rich section, and at the human podium stood President Okafor, representing Earth. As the lead scientist, it fell to Dr. Chen to open the proceedings. She stepped up to the central platform, her voice steady as she addressed the gathered delegates. "Distinguished representatives of the Zarkan Empire, the Myrexi Collective, and Earth, welcome to the first Galactic Peace Summit. We stand at a crossroads of history, with the power to end 800,000 years of conflict." She gestured to the hologram of the tiny ship. "The heart of humanity showed us that we are not so different. We all fight for survival, for a future for our children. Today, we have the chance to secure that future, together." As Dr. Chen stepped back, the real negotiations began. It was a dance of diplomacy, unlike anything in human history. The Zarkans, used to rigid hierarchies, struggled with the fluid nature of Myrexi decision-making. The Myrexi, accustomed to instant consensus through their collective, found the concept of individual opinions baffling. And through it all, the humans worked tirelessly to bridge the gaps, to find common ground. Days turned into weeks. Progress was made, then lost, then made again. Dr. Chen and her team worked around the clock, analyzing data, proposing solutions, and sometimes just keeping the peace. One particularly tense day, as talks seemed on the verge of collapse, Dr. Tanaka had an idea. He approached the central platform, his voice shaking slightly as he addressed the aliens. "Respected delegates, if I may. I believe we've been looking at this the wrong way. We've been trying to divide resources, to separate our species. But what if we looked for ways to help each other instead?" He brought up a series of complex equations on the holographic display. The Zarkans need stable planets to grow their crystals. The Myrexi need energy-rich environments. And we humans, we adapt. What if we work together to terraform uninhabited worlds, creating environments that could sustain all of us? The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Then, slowly, a soft chiming filled the air. High Commander Zix was vibrating with excitement. This could work, the Zarkan leader said. Our terraforming technology, combined with Myrexi energy manipulation and human adaptability. The Myrexi collective pulsed rapidly. We could create worlds beyond anything we've imagined. Habitats where all our species could thrive, side by side. President Okafor stepped forward, her face beaming. And humanity could learn from both your species, advancing our technology and understanding of the universe. As the excitement built, Dr. Chen caught Dr. Tanaka's eye and gave him a proud smile. This was more than just ending a war. It was the beginning of a galactic alliance. In that moment, as three vastly different species came together in a spirit of cooperation, the heart of humanity pulsed brightly in its holographic form. Its mission wasn't just accomplished, it had exceeded everyone's wildest dreams. The path ahead would not be easy. Centuries of mistrust and conflict couldn't be erased overnight. But as Dr. Chen looked around the chamber at the hope shining in every face, human, Zarkan, and Myrexi alike, she knew that the hardest step had been taken. The galaxy would never be the same again. 1 year had passed since the groundbreaking Galactic Peace Summit. The ambitious plan to terraform worlds together had moved from concept to reality. Now, as the first joint mission prepared to launch, excitement and tension filled the air on Unity Station. Dr. Chen stood in the bustling launch bay, watching as the final preparations were made. The ship before her was unlike anything humanity had ever built, a perfect blend of Zarkan crystalline technology, Myrexi energy manipulation, and human ingenuity. The Harmony, she said softly, reading the name emblazoned on the ship's hull in all 3 languages. Admiral Jackson approached, his usual stern expression softened by a hint of wonder. It's a far cry from our first ventures into space, isn't it, Doctor? Dr. Chen nodded, smiling. From the heart of humanity to this, we've come a long way. The ship's crew was as diverse as its design. Zarkan crystal beings stood tall next to their human counterparts, while Myrexi energy forms hovered nearby in specially designed containment suits. Each species brought unique skills to the mission, their former differences now their greatest strength. Dr. Tanaka hurried over, his tablet clutched tightly in his hands. Final checks are complete, he reported. The Harmony is ready for launch. As if on cue, a chime sounded throughout the station. President Okafor's voice echoed through the speakers. Attention all personnel. Please report to your designated viewing areas. The launch ceremony will begin shortly. The Grand Chamber, once a place of tense negotiations, was now filled with an air of celebration. Representatives from all 3 species gathered to witness this historic moment. High Commander Zix's crystalline form glittered as it took the podium. Today, it chimed, we take the first step towards a new future. A future where our children will know peace, not war. The Myrexi collective swirled in agreement, their energy patterns forming intricate designs of harmony. Together, we will reshape barren worlds into havens of life. Our combined strengths will achieve what none of us could do alone. President Okafor stepped forward, her voice filled with pride. And humanity is honored to be part of this grand endeavor. We may be the youngest of our alliance, but we bring our adaptability, our creativity, and our unwavering spirit of exploration. As the speeches concluded, all eyes turned to the massive view screen. The Harmony sat on its launch pad, gleaming in the light of an alien sun. Dr. Chen held her breath as the countdown began. This was more than just a space launch. It was the birth of a new era. 3, 2, 1. The Harmony's engines ignited, a brilliant fusion of Zarkan crystal energy and Myrexi plasma technology. The ship rose majestically, accelerating smoothly as it climbed towards the stars. Cheers erupted throughout Unity Station. Zarkans chimed in crystalline joy, Myrexi pulsed with vibrant colors, and humans embraced each other, tears of happiness in their eyes. But amidst the celebration, Dr. Chen noticed something odd. A small group of delegates from each species had gathered in a corner, speaking in hushed tones. Their body language suggested concern, even fear. She made her way over, catching snippets of their conversation. "Can't ignore the signs," a human delegate was saying. A Zarkan chimed softly. "But if we're right, the consequences could be catastrophic." The Myrexi representative pulsed erratically. "We must inform the others. The Alliance needs to know." They fell silent as Dr. Chen approached. "Is everything all right?" she asked, her scientific curiosity piqued. The delegates exchanged worried glances before the human stepped forward. "Dr. Chen, we've detected some anomalies in the far reaches of our combined territories." "What kind of anomalies?" Dr. Chen asked, her excitement over the launch fading into concern. The Zarkan's crystals dimmed as it spoke. "Energy readings unlike anything we've ever seen. Distortions in spacetime itself." The Myrexi pulsed slowly, its voice a whisper. "We fear we may not be alone in this galaxy." Dr. Chen's mind raced. A new alien presence, one powerful enough to warp spacetime. The implications were staggering. As the celebration continued around them, Dr. Chen realized that their greatest challenge might still lie ahead. The alliance of Earth, Zarkan, and Myrexi had brought peace to their corner of the galaxy. But what awaited them in the cosmic darkness? She looked up at the view screen, where the Harmony was now just a distant point of light. Their journey of discovery was far from over. In fact, it might have only just begun. With a deep breath, Dr. Chen turned to the worried delegates. "Tell me everything," she said. "We faced our past differences together. Whatever comes next, we'll face it the same way." As she listened to their report, a mix of fear and excitement filled her. The galaxy, it seemed, still had many secrets to reveal. The mood on Unity Station had shifted dramatically in the weeks following the Harmony's launch. What should have been a time of celebration had turned into one of intense study and growing concern. Dr. Chen found herself at the center of it all, coordinating efforts to understand the mysterious anomalies detected at the edge of known space. In a secure conference room, holographic displays flickered with data streams from all three species. Dr. Chen, Admiral Jackson, High Commander Zix, and a representative of the Myrexi Collective hovered over the central table, their faces etched with worry. "The distortions are growing stronger," Dr. Tanaka reported, his fingers dancing over a control panel. "And they're spreading." Admiral Jackson frowned. Could it be a natural phenomenon? A string of supernovas, perhaps? The Myrexi representative pulsed negatively. "We've ruled out all known natural causes. This energy, it's like nothing we've ever encountered." High Commander Zix's crystalline form vibrated with tension. Could it be a weapon? A new threat rising from the ashes of our old war? Dr. Chen shook her head. "I don't think so. Look at this pattern." She manipulated the hologram, highlighting a series of rhythmic pulses in the data. "There's a structure to it, almost like a language," Dr. Tanaka finished, his eyes wide. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. They weren't dealing with a natural phenomenon or a weapon. This was communication on a cosmic scale. "We need to respond," Dr. Chen said firmly. "Whatever this is, whoever is causing it, we need to let them know we're here, and we're listening." Admiral Jackson nodded slowly. "Agreed. But how? Our most advanced communication technology is like shouting into the wind compared to this." It was then that an unexpected voice spoke up. In the corner of the room, almost forgotten, sat the original heart of humanity in a protective case. Its AI core had been constantly upgraded over the past year, absorbing knowledge from all three species. "I may be able to help." The tiny ship's voice echoed through the room's speakers. "My quantum entanglement array combined with Zarkan crystal amplification and Myrexi energy focusing, could potentially match the power of these signals. The gathered leaders exchanged glances. It was risky, using their most advanced technologies in an untested combination. But the potential rewards were too great to ignore. "Do it," Dr. Chen said, her voice filled with determination. The next few days were a flurry of activity. Scientists and engineers from all three species worked around the clock, modifying the heart of humanity for its new mission. Dr. Chen barely slept, overseeing every aspect of the operation. Finally, the moment of truth arrived. The enhanced heart of humanity sat in the center of Unity Station's main hangar, surrounded by a complex array of crystals and energy fields. Dr. Chen stood at the control panel, her hand hovering over the activation switch. "All systems are go," Dr. Tanaka reported. "We're ready to transmit." Dr. Chen took a deep breath. "Here goes nothing," she muttered, and flipped the switch. The air crackled with energy. Zarkan crystals hummed, Myrexi fields pulsed, and human technology whirred to life. A beam of pure information shot out from the heart of humanity, carrying a message of peace and invitation in every language and format they could conceive. For several tense minutes, nothing happened. Then, suddenly, every alarm on the station began to blare. "Energy spike," Dr. Tanaka shouted. "Something's coming through." The space in front of them seemed to ripple and tear. A swirling vortex of light and color appeared, growing larger by the second. It was like nothing any of them had ever seen. A doorway between the stars themselves. As they watched in awe, a figure began to emerge from the portal. It was tall, easily twice the size of a human, with a body that seemed to shift between solid, liquid, and gaseous states. Multiple limbs moved with impossible grace, and its surface shimmered with patterns of light that hinted at vast intelligence. The beam turned its attention to the gathered representatives of humanity, Zarkan and Myrexi. When it spoke, its voice resonated not through the air, but directly in their minds. "Greetings, young ones," it said, its mental voice filled with warmth and ancient wisdom. "We have been waiting a long time for you to hear us." Dr. Chen stepped forward, her heart pounding, but her voice steady. "Who? What are you?" The being's form rippled, as if in amusement. "We are the guardians, shepherds of young civilizations across the cosmos. And you, brave children, have just taken your first step onto a much larger stage." As the implications of these words sank in, Dr. Chen realized that everything they had accomplished so far, ending an 800,000-year war, forming an interspecies alliance, launching joint terraforming missions, was just the beginning. The true adventure was only now beginning. The arrival of the Guardian had thrown Unity Station into a whirlwind of activity. For days, representatives from Earth, the Zarkan Empire, and the Myrexi Collective engaged in intense discussions with the ancient being. Dr. Chen found herself at the center of it all, serving as the primary liaison between the Alliance and their new cosmic mentor. In the Grand Chamber, now reconfigured to accommodate the Guardian's shifting form, Dr. Chen stood before a captivated audience. Humans, Zarkans, and Myrexi alike listened intently as she summarized what they had learned. "The Guardians," she began, her voice steady despite her awe, "are part of a galactic network of advanced civilizations. They watch over younger species, guiding them towards peaceful coexistence and technological advancement." High Commander Zix's crystalline form chimed softly, "And they deemed us ready for contact when we ended our war." The Guardian, a swirling mass of energy and matter, pulsed gently. Its mental voice resonated through the chamber. "Your alliance caught our attention. 3 species, so different, yet finding common ground. It is a rare and beautiful thing." Dr. Tanaka stepped forward, his eyes shining with curiosity. "But why reveal yourselves now? Why not earlier, when we were at war?" The Guardian's form shimmered, conveying a sense of gentle amusement. "Young ones must learn to walk before they can run. Your struggles, your triumphs, they have shaped you, prepared you for what lies ahead. President Okafor, representing Earth, spoke up. And what does lie ahead? What role do you see for us in this galactic community? The Guardians' response filled their minds with images of wonder, vast networks of civilizations, cosmic engineering projects beyond imagination, and explorations into the very fabric of reality itself. The galaxy faces challenges that require diverse perspectives. The Guardian explained, "Your unique alliance, born from conflict and forged in peace, brings fresh ideas to age-old problems." As the implications sank in, excitement rippled through the chamber. The Myrexi collective pulsed with vibrant colors, the Zarkans chimed in harmonic resonance, and the humans broke into spontaneous applause. Admiral Jackson, ever the pragmatist, raised a hand. "This is all very exciting, but what about the practical aspects? How do we prepare for this new role?" The Guardian's form coalesced into a more solid shape, almost as if nodding in approval at the question. "We will provide you with knowledge and technology, but how you use it is up to you. Your first task will be to complete your terraforming mission, not just for yourselves, but as a gift to other young civilizations." Dr. Chen's mind raced with the possibilities. "You mean, we'll be helping other species the way you're helping us?" "Precisely," the Guardian confirmed. "You will become mentors in your own right, sharing your hard-won wisdom about overcoming differences and working together." Over the next few hours, the Guardian outlined a plan for the Alliance's integration into the galactic community. There would be challenges ahead, new technologies to master, diplomatic relationships to forge, and cosmic mysteries to unravel. As the meeting concluded, Dr. Chen found herself standing before the heart of humanity. The tiny ship that had started it all now seemed almost quaint compared to the wonders they had encountered. Yet its importance couldn't be overstated. Dr. Tanaka joined her, a look of wonder still on his face. "It's hard to believe, isn't it? From a desperate attempt to stop a war to this." Dr. Chen nodded, smiling. "The smallest things can make the biggest differences." Suddenly, an alert chimed from a nearby console. Dr. Chen rushed over, her eyes widening as she read the incoming transmission. "It's from the Harmony," she announced to the room. "They've successfully terraformed their first planet. And there's more. They've detected signs of primitive life on a nearby world." The chamber erupted in excitement. High Commander Zix, the Myrexi representative, and President Okafor quickly gathered around the console. The Guardian's mental voice cut through the commotion, filled with warmth and pride. "And so, your next great adventure begins. Remember this moment, young ones. It is not every day that a civilization takes its place among the stars." As Dr. Chen looked around at the faces of her colleagues, human, Zarkan, and Myrexi alike, she felt a profound sense of unity and purpose. They had come so far, overcoming centuries of war and mistrust. Now, they stood on the threshold of a new era, ready to face the wonders and challenges of the cosmos together. The heart of humanity pulsed softly in its display case, a reminder of their humble beginnings and the incredible journey that lay ahead. As Dr. Chen placed her hand on the case, she whispered, "Thank you, little one. You've brought us further than we ever dreamed possible." With the Guardian's guidance, the combined knowledge of 3 civilizations, and the spirit of cooperation that had brought them together, the future stretched out before them, bright, boundless, and full of promise. The greatest adventure in the history of their species was just beginning.